Hark the bardic paladin, who sings and plays again. He tells the tales of glory and weaves a magic story. He'll join you at your table and ask you to share a fable. Heroes of humble origin, villains who must be fought again. No matter their skill or prowess, the people in life are countless. So we pray you heed our request. Enjoy this tale of sidekicks and side quests.
Episode 62, Anamaria, the Teenage Mind-Flayer.
Welcome to Sidekicks and Side Quests, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast that helps to put humans back into humanity and breathe life into your campaign NPCs with backstory and bravado. That's right, we're building a world, one character at a time. I am your host, Kurt Krenwelge, the Bardic Paladin, and I'll be joining
Charles Basile's table in the levitating platter.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests, the best unofficial D&D podcast, in my humbly biased opinion. This is a podcast, a show brought to you by Plus One EXP, which is started by our dear friend of the show, Tony Vicinda. So if you're in the market for a beard balm that's flavored after one of the classic D&D stats, whether you need some strength, charisma, dexterity for your beard, in addition to that, you can check out some of the cool and awesome RPGs that Tony's developed, including Beards and Beyond, iToaster, which is a Brave Little Toaster RPG, project called Repugnant, and then he has this new one that he's been working on called Down We Go, which is an OSR, rules light sort of a system. And along with all of that, besides the actual plays and live streams that Tony's doing on Twitch and YouTube with Plus One, there's the Plus One Forward program, which if you go and support Plus One Experience and Tony on Patreon or any of these other different mediums, funds are going to go on to help support additional tabletop independent creators to make awesome content as well. If you use my affiliate promo code when you go to checkout on the store, Randolph, you can save some coin on your purchase and give a little bit of a tiny kickback to me. I certainly would appreciate it. So again, to do and see all the wonderful, awesome things, go to plus1exp.com. Be sure to check it out. Thank you. I turn the microphone over to a returning guest. Would you like to reintroduce yourself to the audience and tell us how life's been since we last spoke, since the early days of the podcast?
Hey, yeah, I'm Charles Basile, as Kurt mentioned, and been playing D&D and other RPGs for quite some time. I've been doing pretty good, all things considered. It's been an interesting past year or so, and don't think there's any two ways about that, but can't complain, doing pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to say we're both family life. We got young ones now in our lives. We coped through the pandemic for the most part and, still keeping in touch. And we've been able to play a little bit of D&D ourselves on Fantasy Grounds online. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. Not a affiliate here, but definitely a tool that has come in handy multiple times just with my old high school friends. Our group kind of got scattered by life and whim and all that, and then our physical tabletop group kind of got scattered by the pandemic, and so it's a handy little tool.
So since you're a returning guest, obviously we don't necessarily have to rehash all the same questions. Have you come across any other interesting NPC or side quests that kind of caught your attention?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, so there's definitely been a couple interesting little NPCs that have cropped up. Big one recently that seemed to be kind of a hit was a half ogre named Surtur, who was hungry and wanted a big challenge, and the party directed him to a somewhat hated noble back in the little survivors camp in our kind of evil campaign we were doing. And that wound up landing actually a lot better than I expected. I was honestly throwing them out there as a foe for them to fight. It was a little bit of a tough challenge, but they solved the problem with diplomacy instead, convincing him that there's food and fights to be had at this other place.
Yeah, that was very funny. I think it was Elise and I kind of tag teamed that conversation and persuaded them using our evilness, being like, hey, yeah, there's better stuff to get south of here than right here, right now.
Yep, he was blocking the road, and you guys got him moving along, and yeah, he is probably going to make another appearance at some point, so be ready.
Okay, we certainly will. And then any interesting side quests?
Oh yeah. So in the other campaign with my high school friends, we have been playing about as much, so once every blue moon. But they're off in a desert. The general campaign world is kind of low magic, and they're in a high magic area where, this old magocracy kind of collapsed. And they're exploring some ruins, and they've met a mummy who's kind of acting as a jailer and has written a ton of books. And he's asked them to help murder some other mummies who he's more or less doomed to keep guard over for all eternity, barring their intervention. So that one's, they've got some interesting little, I don't want to talk too much about it, but some interesting little gate portal magic shenanigans and some puzzles planned for that one. But yeah, it's basically, if you think like old style adventure game, go and kill these 5 bosses, it's not too far off from that. I won't lie there, but I'm looking forward to finishing that little sequence out.
And then, of course, I always like to ask about passions. And so in the last year, have you found any new passions?
Nothing new so much so, but yeah, like we've been stuck at home, so I've gotten pretty big back into board games, and so I've started trying to make my own little board game organizers and all that sort of stuff out of various materials. Foam boards, pretty easy. Wood's a little harder, but I'm looking at a CNC machine to help cut the wood. That might actually be a lot of fun. So level of nerdiness is not just playing board games, but organizing them so that they're easier to play.
There you go. Yes.
Or it could just be cabin fever. That's also another possibility. It could just be cabin fever.
The world may never know. It was good to check in with my guest, Charles, and see how he's doing. And now, of course, it's time to head into NPC creation. So, if memory serves me correct, the last time that you were in NPC creation, you were one of the first people that just got to roll dice and try out the tables. And so, if you want to test the fates a little bit tonight and randomize a character, we can do that.
Definitely. If it's between dice and no dice, I say let the dice roll.
All right. So, of course, we like to figure out a name for our character. And if you want to grab your D20 and give that a roll, we'll figure out what's going to be the name of your character.
It's like it's 15.
15. Okay. This response provided by Elizabeth Horsley, Anamaria. The next question that we have to answer is, what is the ancestry of the character? And this is going to be a D100 or 2D10 roll.
75.
75 as I check my list. Ooh, okay, so you've got a choice here. You can do a standard Illithid mind-flayer, an Alhoon, or the Eulitharids. So basically something in the neighborhood of mind-flayer. What are you thinking?
Anamaria is going to be a standard mind-flayer.
The next question to answer is, what is the job or role of Anamaria in society? That will be a D10 roll.
That's a 4.
4. Okay. This response provided by previous guest Shannon Robichaud. Calligraphy. Anamaria is a calligraphist.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
How old is the character? Let's roll a D8 to figure out the age range.
That's a 2.
2. Teenager. So a teenage Illithid, a teenage mind-flayer that is a calligraphist. Well, now we have to ask ourselves the question of, what is the physical appearance of Anamaria, the Illithid calligraphist? What are you even picturing in your mind right now?
Let's see. So, teenager, I'm picturing probably, imagine your average medieval teenage girl, except just an illithid. So you got your like basic farm-esque dress and calligrapher. So it's embroidered. It's a little finer.
Do you imagine there are any ink smudges and stains on the hands?
No ink stains on the hands. We'll go with ink stains on the on the like little tentacles. Huh?
Oh, so she writes with her mouth tentacles?
Yeah, I mean it's far more efficient. You can hold like at least 3 quills with those things.
Okay, interesting. So kind of like a whole Davy Jones sort of a thing where the octopus independently moving tentacles that almost have like minds of their own. Okay, interesting.
Probably not canonical illithid, but hey.
It's whatever we feel like making up on this podcast, I guess. The minute that you start rolling dice, it's like all rules go out the window. If you had to describe Anamaria with 3 adjectives, what adjectives would you use?
Ooh, 3 adjectives. Let's go with precise. Let's go with prissy. It's a good trait for a teenage mind flayer. I mean, you got to be sarcastic when you're a teenager.
What's a valuable item, a piece of lore, a secret, or an ideal or concept that the character ascribes to? So first roll is a D4 for the category.
That's a 1.
1 is an item. So now you get to roll a regular D6.
That's a 6.
6, okay. Gemstone necklace. Any thought as to why it's important to her?
Ooh, so let's see. It could go dark, or it could go, just standard teenager shenanigans. Let's see. As an illithid, I feel like your coming of age is kind of your first meal, and so it belonged to her first meal.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Which seems to beg the question that I'm sure the entire audience was waiting to ask. Where in the world is this character living? Is this a Underdark illithid city? Is this an extra dimensional place? Where are we going to find her? Logically, I suppose. Or maybe illogically. Maybe she's in a normal mundane town. But people are like, oh yeah, she's just a weird teenager. Tentacles in the face, that's normal. It's like, no, that's not normal.
Yeah, I almost want to say, just a sleepy farm village, but I think I like that actually. Yeah, just at the risk of too many juxtaposed shenanigans here, we'll go with the sleepy farm village.
Is she part of an illithid family that just lives above ground? Is it like a Coneheads situation where it's like clearly they're aliens, but they've fooled everyone else into thinking that they're like normal people, but because they come from some other part of the world, they're like, oh, that's just how they are from that part of the world.
Yeah, I think it's probably something like that. It could also just be. It could also just well be they just don't quite know what an illithid is, and they're like, yeah, I mean, it seems quiet enough.
Okay. Sorry, now I have that imagery of the Coneheads, and they're talking like very technical language, and they just look odd, but people just accept them. They're like, sure thing. Like, can I ask Anamaria out on a date? Like, okay, sure, yeah, we're gonna go in the meadows. And then Anamaria will inevitably eat that person's brains.
People go missing occasionally,
Yeah,
it just happens.
It just happens. It's part of life in a medieval society. What is a particular quest that Anamaria would be willing to recruit or hire player characters to go and do on her behalf? This is going to be a D12 roll.
That's a 4.
You let me know if you think this is in line with Anamaria's character. This was a suggestion provided by Stephanie Jones and Andrew Newcomb. Steal some documents and switch them out with a forgery. Now, being a calligraphist, is this something that is going to be important for her to do?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Does it have to do with teenage rebellion and stuff?
I'm sure it does. It's probably something like, if the players wind up reading the documents they're switching out, it's, love letter type thing that she needs switched out with something a lot more mundane. She accidentally, gave her crush the love letter.
If the players are successful in stealing documents and then switching them out with a forged copy, what is she going to reward the players with?
Handwritten copy of Xanathar's Guide to Everything, signed by Xanathar.
Like, in the context of the Forgotten Realms, she's going to literally provide that?
Yeah, but it's totally a forgery.
Oh, I see.
Signature's faked.
Oh, she faked the signature on it. Okay.
Yeah, adjust to taste for your locale.
Or yeah, if you're playing in your own homebrew. So basically like some sort of compendium book.
Prominent compendium that's definitely not accurate.
Okay, so an inaccurate compendium book for your campaign, for your world.
Yep.
That supposedly has a famous person's signature, but she forged the signature because of her calligraphy skills.
Yeah, I think I like that.
And maybe just to loop back around, because I don't know if I got the question answered. So her job is a calligraphist. So is she working for like a criminal organization, or is she like a legit, people ask her to do fancy writing all the time? Does she work for like the local lord or something like that? Like, oh, draw up these documents, make them look nice and pretty. And, you know, we got to send them off to the king to look nice and stuff.
Little column A, little column B, I'm sure.
She is employed with the local government, but she also does work on the side for like various criminal organizations, and her skills come in handy to criminal element types.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the particular criminal elements are also, happen to be part of local government, if that makes any sense.
Oh, okay, so it's just corrupt local government that she's involved with.
Yeah, that seems about right to me.
And so just to clarify, I mean, I know we were saying like, oh, the documents that she's going to have you steal to switch out with a forgery. Now that we have this insight, is it not a love letter that she's having them steal back? It's like some kind of documents, like important legalistic documents for the local lord or government or whatnot.
Oh, she'll definitely tell the players it's that, but no, it's just a love letter.
She doesn't want them to read it. She's just like, oh, go recover this important document. It wasn't signed properly, and we need to, I have the corrected version here, and I just need you to go grab it and then bring it back to me, and I'll give you the other one, which is the forgery, to pass off that there's no corruption going on or whatever.
It's totally going to be played off like it's more serious than it is, but that's really kind of above her pay grade if it gets into that sort of territory with like local shenanigans, or like the local corruption shenanigans.
So it's a love letter from like the government, like from the lord or whoever. That's what it is. It's not a blackmail, incriminating sort of a letter.
I think it's just a love letter she wrote.
Oh, that she herself wrote. Okay.
Yep. And so she's totally playing it off like it's way more serious than it is. She is actually affiliated with these people, but she's just, the calligrapher. They've got people that would do this for real if, there was an actual issue. But she's a
super embarrassed
teenager, all that sort of fun stuff. And so it's a much bigger deal for her than, she can't just obviously ask the, black ops folk that the local lord keeps on his payroll to go and do this for her. Because, it's just a random teenager who does some forgeries on the side for them.
I was going to say, who's the letter going to? Why is it such a big deal to her for her to get this letter back and then switch it out with another version? She can't admit her feelings to this person?
Yeah, so probably just some local shopkeep boy person type thing, and just accidentally gave him love letter instead of requisition for materials or whatever her order.
Oh, okay. So she was just kind of absent-minded, and she had written up this letter, but she never had any intention of sending it, and she was daydreaming, and then she put the wax seal and gave it to the messenger, and then she's like, oh no, I sent the wrong thing.
Yep, something very much in that vein. Which is out of character for her, so she's not really sure what happened there. That just seems amusing to me.
What is going to be the consequence of failure or refusing the call? So if she's asking for help, but they fail to get the letter back in time to be able to switch it out, or they just say, no way, weird, illithid teenager girl, we're not going to help you. What's the consequence?
Her and the shopkeep are actually going to hit it off, but she's never going to forgive the party.
She's going to be vindictive, or she's going to be resentful about it, but yet she's in this happily ever after sort of a situation.
That seems...
On the surface, maybe?
That seems teenager enough, yes.
Okay. Now, whether she actually will really truly love this person, or she'll get bored and then just be like, your brains look yummy, I'll eat those now.
That's yet to be seen. Teenage love is a fickle thing after all.
Do you want to tackle any optional questions, or do you feel like Anamaria is detailed in full?
She is detailed in full, and perhaps at the risk of being a little too detailed the way I've rendered it here. But yeah, so basically, She has some distant underworld connection. Some of the commissions she gets are definitely forgeries, but she has nothing to do with delivering them, has absolutely nothing to do with, swapping them out if there's a problem. She happens to have gotten herself into a pickle because she accidentally gave a love letter instead of an order. And that's the quest she's given to players. Consequence for failure is they will hit it off and she will be very resentful. The reward for success is a forged, inaccurate copy of some local planar celebrity's compendium.
Well, I think we've learned quite a bit about this Anamaria character, and I think it's only fitting now to head into a random encounter. This random encounter is brought to you by Reaper Miniatures. They're in my backyard here in the DFW area, and they've been making awesome paints and gaming accessories and miniatures since 1994. If you have the opportunity, you can request a tour and get to check out their factory and their game store. Get some reject mini pieces to add to your collection. It's a fun, good time. They've got everything on their website. Just search their SKU catalog, and when you're shopping in the store or you're shopping online and you spend at least $40 on your purchase, you can get the mini of the month for free. And it's always changing. It's always something new every month. Of course, the Reaper Miniatures website's going to stipulate any restrictions on that. But if you're checking out Reaper Miniatures on the web, if you go to my podcast website, the link provided in this episode, you will see that there's like an affiliate link that I have that redirects to Reaper Miniatures, and if you use that link, it helps to track traffic from my podcast over to their website, and it helps to build our affiliate relationship. I know I recently got a $50 gift card from them because of that. I am super appreciative of it, and I'd like to foster and grow that relationship even more. So be sure to check out Reaper on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all the places on cyberspace where the cool kids are happening these days, and check out Reaper Miniatures. So where we last left our hero, Duncan, he was finishing up a bit of marketing and testing out his salesmanship skills for a certain Vadalkin and Deathlock with some interesting penny loafers. And Duncan is sporting his own pair. He has, wanted to take them off, but, with the residual magical effects of the loafers in particular, he just can't quite bring himself to actually remove the penny loafers from his feet. But that's okay. He is enjoying those nice magical benefits. And it's not too long after that he's making his way to another small town run by a local government, the same sort of medieval society he's used to, when he comes across a small farm, and he can see that there is, to his wild astonishment, an illithid girl dressed like a normal peasant young maiden, frantically pacing in front of her house. And the last time that Duncan saw an illithid was back in the Underdark when he was helping out Israd, the Quagos shopkeeper, put on the local town play for Morrow the Great, who was a illithid mind-flayer there. So Duncan is certainly caught off guard, having a bit of deja vu, but he will cautiously approach, and he will say, "I hope that my eyes are not deceiving me, but excuse me, young maiden, but are you in fact an illithid? A mind-flayer?"
Oh, perfect. Are you an adventurer? I'm not hungry right now, but I need some help. I don't make mistakes, but I kind of made a little one just a little bit ago, and I think you might be able to help me.
Duncan, kind of caught off guard at the normal conversation that they're having, will say, "Why, yes, I am. I am Duncan, the suicidally brave adventurer for hire." He quickly, reflexively, it seems now, reaches into a pocket and pulls out like a parchment business card thing, and he hands it over, and you can clearly see written on it, Duncan, suicidally brave adventurer for hire, no task too big, no feat too small. And he says, "Yeah, that's kind of my fatal flaw, is that any quest or task put before me, it's my charge, it's my honor, it's my duty to undertake it. So I understand that you're in need of some assistance. How can I help you?"
Great. So he kind of takes the card with like two fingers and kind of drops it off. And side and yeah, dust your hands off. So I do a little work for the local lords from time to time, and he has me write some letters on behalf of people who are a little less willing. And there's been a little bit of a mix-up here, and I'm willing to give you a copy of Xanathar's Guide to Everything, signed by Xanathar himself, if you are able to switch it with this one. And she pulls out a sealed letter, but I wouldn't read either of them. Just go to the shop, intercept the messenger, swap the letters out, and bring me the wrong one, and give them this right one. Don't let anybody know, and definitely don't read the letters. They're really sensitive, and the local lord would be really if he found out about it.
And Duncan will roll an insight check and determine accurately that, she is sincere as far as like her wanting, her earnest to get the letter back. He can tell that, she is upset. She's frantic. She desperately wants this taken care of. We'll say it's not quite high enough for him to reason like, oh, it actually is a legit copy of a guidebook that he's going to be getting. But he's at least more readily concerned about like her demeanor and her attitude, and he'll say, okay, well, not to worry. Well, what is your name? I don't think did I catch your name beforehand?
Oh, no, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Anamaria. If you need anything written, I'm your Lithid.
Very well. Okay, so he looks at the letter in his hand, and he'll say, now, which shop am I to make my way towards? Perhaps making my way there, I'll be able to find the messenger.
Sure, yeah, it's about a mile that way. It's basically the only building. It's the first building you're going to come across. He lives just down. The shop is just down the road.
Duncan will like take a beat to like recognize kind of how she said that, and he'll be like, okay, and he'll try and like play it off like, okay, wink, I don't know what this actually is really about, but he'll so go along with it, and he'll be like, okay, well, I guess I better get walking then. And so he does a quick turn, and he'll start making his way in effort to intercept the messenger. And scene.
Awesome.
Well, NPC character number 2 in the bag. So what do you think? Much different than Taco, the Rakshasa valet.
Yes, quite a bit different. Totally different energy, totally different demeanor, and I'm sure that totally different adventure might have gotten a little bit more of her sass, her sarcasm, but...
Well, I'm glad that you had some fun tonight. We got to make up a truly zany NPC. I think last time when we asked the question, when we got to this part of the final thoughts and saying, hey, if you've got anything to plug, if there's a cause or something that we need to know about, is there a cause? Is there a new project? Is there something that we need to be on the lookout for on the horizon?
Oh, no, not quite yet. Perhaps if I'm able to get anything going with those organizers, I might wind up having something for you guys next time, but no, I got no shameless plugs here.
Fair enough. Well, Charles, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to speak with me. I'm glad that we're able to slowly start getting older guests rotated back into the schedule, and we'll be talking to you again some point here in the future, and we'll have probably another zany NPC to add to the list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we might have a father-son thing here in a few years if this podcast is going to be around for a while, and it's only going to get bigger, so...
I certainly hope so, and I appreciate the vote of confidence in the longevity of this podcast. Might have to open up a Patreon or something to ensure its longevity. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Overcast. Or feel free to save the RSS feed to use the app of your choice. Visit our website, sidekicksandsidequests.com, for links, write-ups of the NPCs, and to learn more about the show and the guests who have been on it. To stay up to date and interact via social media, you can follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit by searching for Side KQ Podcast. I would love to talk D&D and showcase your fan art, stories of how you used our NPCs, discussions, and commentary. If you would like to hail the bard, send an email to sidekicksandsidequests@gmail.com. To help this show be the resource it's meant to be,
I ask that you please leave a review on iTunes to help spread the word, and share our show with your friends and family. Whether you're a veteran player or an aspiring dungeon master, there's something here for everyone, and I want to hear about it. Sidekicks and Sidequests is unofficial fan content permitted under the fan content policy, meaning I'm not approved or endorsed by Wizards. Portions of the materials used are property of Wizards of the Coast, copyright Wizards of the Coast, LLC. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you at the pub next time.
Bar to rock on 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sidekicks and Sidequests.